Oh man, it's almost time for a haircut. All right, I want to adjust. I want to address something from just to kind of give a look at something from a more scientific standpoint, or maybe a more logical reasoning standpoint as it pertains to nutrition. Something that I hear often, and that gets said a lot, and I don't want it to become at least I want to work against it becoming a normalized um, kind of, I don't want to say myth, because I don't think it's a myth because it's not really explained exactly right. But I don't want it to become something that is just a throwaway or a throw to answer, a band aid for a band aid as a temporary answer for something we can't explain, something like that, as it pertains to nutrition. And that is that I'm not eating enough and therefore I can't lose weight. That is a very loaded statement and is very often thrown around, I think, too quickly, and is not well understood. So, the rarely uh, do you have many clients or do you have many people that go from a very strict calorie counting diet um, into which they adjust and have a new strict calorie counting diet where the only thing that is taking place is just a simple change in the amount of calories or macronutrients. Meaning, very rarely do you have someone who's going from, hey, I have been strictly eating 1,500 calories. The bulk of my nutrition is from vegetables, little starch when I need it, so the carbs only when I need it to fulfill physical activity, the amount of fats that it takes to support hormones, and the amount of protein to support daily recuperation as well as normal body function, which is just the three basic factors of each of those macronutrients. So, very rarely do you have someone who goes from that sort of diet of eating 1,500 and then saying, hey, let's eat 1,800 instead, but don't change anything with what you're eating, your timing of your eating, anything like that. Rarely do you see that change happen and that person will start to lose weight. What typically I've found and I've seen, and I think what science would probably more readily, or what may be a more nuanced conversation is what's taking place is usually you have someone, or you might have someone who's aware of what counting macros is, counting calories is, and they think they're eating 1,500. They loosely count things. There's foods here and there that they may be eating. Maybe a couple tracking numbers get off. They have a little snack at night that they don't count 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe they eat something in the middle of the day. Maybe they have one day where they're way above their calories, so their weekly total caloric number is way above where it needs to be on not just a daily spectrum, but a weekly spectrum. What very often happens is when you take that person, you say, okay, I want you to eat 1,900 calories, but I also want you to start switching how you're eating. I want you to prioritize eating more vegetables, and that's going to introduce more fiber into your diet. I want you to start limiting these things that seem to be hindering you in your dieting process. I want you to start really tracking when you're eating carbohydrates and fats and things of that nature, just small little changes. That's going to create a larger adherence factor. So, adherence is the number one important thing when it comes to diet, and I've said that for a long time, and I don't see myself changing my mind on that anytime soon. I think you can follow any diet. If you adhere to it, you're going to see more success than someone who fails to adhere to the most well scientifically researched perfect plan diet. Um, but what's usually happening is you take that person who's on the 1,500 and they were like, yeah, I eat 1,500 a day, but it was pretty loose. It's the food was here and there. They're sometimes they were eating out 2 or 3 times a day, and you really can't know the exact amount of macronutrients and calories in that food. And then they switch to this more strict diet where it's 18 and 19. It's 300 to 400 more calories, but it's very, they got laid out, they're planned out, they're cooking their own food. Now they're on top of things. They're measuring even how much oil they're putting in their, like, they're cooking with and things like that. And so you see larger adherence, and sometimes you see that person start to drop weight. And what people think is that you're not eating enough food to lose weight. What was probably happening is you could you were probably eating too much food before, but the volume wasn't there of nutrient dense foods, and you're eating higher calorie, lower satiating foods. And so it felt like you weren't eating that much, but everything you're eating was like, 500 or 600 calories for not that much food. Now you're eating these big plates of food with lots of vegetables, and it's taking you forever to eat, and you feel like you're stuffed after you eat it, but it's only taking up like 400 or 500 calories. So the nutrients that you're eating has completely switched. So I just want you guys to think about that. What is making up your daily food intake? Are you prioritizing eating something green at least once or twice a day? Are you having vegetables 2 or 3 times a day? Things that are low calorie but add a lot of volume, that make you feel like you're eating a lot of food, which you will be from a actual volume standpoint of food, but you won't be from a actual caloric side of things. That is one of my easier go-tos for people. When in doubt, add more vegetables to your diet to bring the volume up, especially if you're someone who's eating a certain amount of calories and you always feel hungry. Increase the amount of vegetables you're eating, because it is a low cost in calories, but a higher return for your body in terms of micronutrients, fiber, those things, etc. So keep in mind, just be intelligent with the use of phrasing in nutrition when saying, hey, maybe you're not eating enough calories. Switch the conversation to, maybe you're eating too much of the wrong thing and not enough of the right things to match the exact amount of calories you should be getting. Anyway, that was about 4 minutes longer than what I wanted to be, but hopefully that made sense. Got my point across. I know I talked really fast through that. So hit that rewind button a couple times throughout the video if you need to rehear things. And if you have questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to discuss and chat.